Late 2032. A date the government just announced that doesn't mean much until it hits your bank account. That's when your Social Security check gets cut. Not reduced if Congress does nothing, but cut. Automatically. By law, by about 22%. That's almost $5,500 a year from the average Social Security check. A check you've been told your entire adult life you can count on. And here's the part you probably didn't realize. They've done it before. So when they make the final adjustment, it won't look like a cut at all. But once you see how it actually touches you, you'll spot it coming. Most people won't. So let me show you exactly what got published, because this isn't a prediction, it's a date on a government document. This June, the Social Security Trustees, the people legally required to report on the program's finances every year, released their 2026 report. Buried in it is the Retirement Trust Fund's expiration date, the fourth quarter of 2032. That fund is the cushion that's been topping up Social Security checks for decades, the gap filler between what workers pay in and what retirees are owed. The report says it runs dry in late 2032. And here's what happens the day it does. Social Security doesn't stop. It just pays less. It can only pay out what's still coming in through payroll taxes. And that covers about 78% of what's promised. The other 22% isn't debated, isn't voted on, it just stops arriving. That's the automatic cut, and the government's own actuaries are the ones who put it on paper. Now, sit with the timeline. From the day that report dropped, you're about 80 monthly checks away from that date. 80. You could count them off on a calendar. This is the part that should make you angry. They've known this was coming since the early 1980s. The last time Washington actually fixed the math was 1983. Over 40 years ago. Every annual report since has flagged the same shortfall, in writing, and every year the date creeps closer instead of further away. This year's report moved it a full quarter closer than last year's. 40 years of watching the iceberg, and nobody touched the wheel. Before we go further, let me kill the noise you've probably heard about this. It isn't stolen money, it isn't immigrants draining the system, it isn't some Ponzi scheme about to vanish overnight. What's actually happening is colder than any of that. It's arithmetic. The structure of the program guarantees this outcome, and it has for decades, no matter which party was holding the wheel. That's the uncomfortable part. Nobody robbed the fund. The design did exactly what it was always going to do, and once you see why the math is locked, you'll understand why no real rescue is coming. Only a choice about how the cut gets delivered to you. They've already run this exact play once before, in the open. Hold that thought. We'll get there. Here's the engine underneath all of it. Social Security isn't a savings account. There's no vault somewhere with your name on a pile of cash you paid in. The money you put in last month went straight out to someone's grandmother this month. Today's workers pay today's retirees. That's the whole design. Pay as you go. That design works on one condition: enough workers paying in to cover everyone drawing out. And that's the condition that broke. Go back to 1960. There were more than 5 workers paying in for every single retiree drawing out. 5 to 1. The system was flush. Today, that ratio is down to about 2.9 workers per retiree, and it's still falling, heading toward roughly 2 to 1 in the coming decades. Think about what that means. Same load, fewer shoulders. Why did the shoulders disappear? 2 things at once. Families got smaller. The average woman had about 3.6 children in 1960. Now it's around 1.6. Fewer babies then means fewer workers now, and at the same time, people started living a lot longer. A 65-year-old today draws benefits far longer than a 65-year-old did in 1940. Fewer people paying in, more people drawing out for more years each. The math was always going to bend. Now, demographics is nobody's fault. People living longer and having fewer kids isn't a scandal. But there's a second piece, and this one could and should have been addressed. That's why it makes people angrier once they see it. There's a cap on how much of your income pays into Social Security. In 2026, it's $184,500. Every dollar under it gets taxed for Social Security. Every dollar above it pays in nothing. In 1983, that cap was set to catch about 90% of all wages earned in America. The rest was untaxed by design. But the cap only rises with the average paycheck. And for 40 years, wage growth inequality has allowed top incomes to sprint past the average. The percent of people earning over the cap has remained relatively stable over the years, but more and more of the nation's wages floated up over the cap, out of the tax's reach. Today, it catches about 83 cents of every dollar earned, down from 90. That's real money the program was built to collect, and no longer does. You can feel the lopsidedness in one number. A person earning $1 million a year hits that $184,500 ceiling by the middle of March, then pays nothing more into Social Security for the rest of the year. You, on a normal paycheck, pay in on every dollar, all 12 months. Same program, very different share. So that's the lock. Fewer workers per retiree, funded by a tax base that quietly stopped covering as much of the economy as it was designed to. Not a heist, a structure that stopped adding up, in plain sight, on a schedule. But none of this is the part they're hoping you miss. The math is just the setup. What they do with it is the real story. And it starts with a trick they've already pulled on you. But first, Seeking Alpha's biggest sale of the year ends Sunday. Link in the description gets you the maximum discounts. Here's the rule that governs everything from this point on. No politician will ever stand at a podium and vote to cut your Social Security check. It's career suicide. The most promised number in American politics cannot be openly broken. So it won't be broken openly. It'll be broken quietly in 4 ways that never have to use the word cut. Here's the part I promised you. It already happened, out in the open, and almost nobody noticed. That's not paranoia, it's a playbook. Start there because it's the template for all the rest. Back when Social Security began, your benefit was tax-free. Then in 1983, Washington decided to tax it. Up to half your benefit became taxable. 10 years later, they raised it again, up to 85%. But both times, they swore it would only ever touch the wealthy. To prove it, they wrote in income thresholds. If you made under $25,000 as an individual or $32,000 as a couple, you'd owe nothing. Only the comfortable retirees above those lines would pay. When they sold it, fewer than 1 in 10 retirees earned enough to be taxed. A tax on the rich, exactly as promised. Now here's the part they're counting on you to miss. Those thresholds, $25,000 and $32,000, were never adjusted for inflation, not once. They are the same today as they were in the 1980s and 90s. But everything else moved. Cost of living tripled. The average check climbed past $2,000 a month. That alone is $24,000 a year, already brushing the line. So retiree after retiree got pulled across a line that never moved until a tax sold as hitting fewer than 1 in 10 now hits more than half of everyone collecting. Read that again because it's the whole game in one move. They didn't pass a new tax, they didn't hold a vote, they just froze a number and let inflation do the cutting for them. For the rich, quietly became for almost everyone, and it took 0 new laws to get there. That's the machine. Now watch it line up to run again, 3 more times. Number 2, the cap. There's a live proposal in Washington to cap benefits for high earners. A 6-figure limit, around $50,000 for an individual or $100,000 for a household. Today, that would touch almost no one. It's pitched, again, as hitting only the rich. But you just watched what happens to a line that starts at the top. The moment benefits flip from what you earned to what they decide you need, the ceiling has somewhere to go. Down. Same template. New decade. Number 3, the retirement age. This is the cleanest disguise of all because it never shows up as a smaller check. They just make you wait longer to collect the full one. The full retirement age has already crept to 67. Push it to 68, 69, and you've cut lifetime benefits without ever touching the monthly number. You simply collect less for fewer years. A cut measured in time instead of dollars. And number 4, this one ties back to the inflation game. Your check gets a cost of living raise each year, the COLA, meant to keep you even with rising prices. But here's the tell, there isn't one inflation number, there are several, and the government decides which one goes where. For your raise, it picked CPIW, the index that happens to undercount the healthcare and housing costs that hit seniors hardest. For instance, Americans 62 and older typically spend 11 to 15% of their household budget on healthcare, but the CPIW gives healthcare a weighting closer to half of that. Lean on the softer measure, year after year, and the check's real buying power leaks away on its own. No vote, no headline, just a raise that quietly never quite keeps up. 4 mechanisms: tax it, cap it, delay it, erode it. Not one of them will ever be called a cut. But stack them on top of the automatic 22% already scheduled for 2032, and the number on your statement starts to look less like a promise and more like an opening offer. So what does this mean for you right now? It means the number on your Social Security statement isn't a promise. It's a best case. The honest planning number isn't 100% of what they've told you. It's about 78% before the tax creep and the lagging raises take their cut on top. Plan around the full statement and you're building on a figure the government's own actuaries already expect to break. The people who get hurt worst are the ones who treat that check as the whole plan instead of one leg of it. If it's your floor, the floor just moved. The one piece of good news? You found out 8 years early. The person who finds out in 2032 has no time left to do anything about it. You do. So here's what finding out early buys you. 3 moves. None of them require predicting anything. First, stress test your retirement against the smaller check. Run your numbers at 78% of what your statement says, not 100. If it still works, good. If it doesn't, far better to know now than the month the cut lands. Second, assume the disguised cuts get worse, not better. Plan as if more of your benefit gets taxed and the annual raise keeps falling behind what your life actually costs. That's been the direction for 40 years. Betting on a reversal is betting against the whole track record. Third, own things the government can't quietly redefine. A check can be taxed, capped, delayed, and eroded by a number somebody else picks. Assets you actually hold can't be rewritten by freezing a threshold. The defense is owning some that doesn't. What that is your call, not mine. So here's where it leaves you. The date is published, the cut is scheduled. The fund runs dry in late 2032, and the only open question is whether they do it honestly or quietly. Quietly is how it's been done every time before. The frozen threshold, the lagging raise, the line that starts at the rich and ends at everyone. The one promise you were told you could build a life around is being renegotiated without you on a timeline already on paper. You can't vote it away, but you can refuse to be the person it happens to. Because once you've seen how this works, the cut that never gets called a cut, you can't unsee it. You stop reading your statement as a promise and start reading it as an opening offer. And that shift from trusting the number to asking who picks it is the whole difference between the people this happens to and the people who saw it coming. Subscribe so the next signal finds you early instead of late. And keep the momentum going. Watch, is the US planning a $50,000 gold revaluation? It's on your screen. Remember, this isn't personal financial advice, it's education so you can build your own plan. See you in the next video.